What's up, guys? 2 hours of Gojo and Golic live from Radio Row in New Orleans coming your way. Plenty of fun stuff to get to on today's show. Last night we're walking to dinner. The Jimmy Butler trade happens. We will break that down. Plus, Myles Garrett stopped by friend of the program, Mina Kimes' show to talk about his impending trade. And we got tons of great guests. Jerome Bettis, Adam Devine, lots of fun people. Stay tuned. 2 hours of goodness starts right now.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gojo and Golic. Mike Golic Jr., Mike Golic Sr., Jesse Cofield back here on Day Foe at Radio Row. Everyone's starting to feel it right now. We will get to why. As always, download, subscribe, rate, and review the show. Leave us a 5-star rating. And check us out live Monday through Friday here from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern on the DraftKings Network. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Jesse mentioned a cavalcade of great guests today, including Adam Devine, Jerome Bettis, who she mentioned. Emmitt Smith, also going to stop by here, a man that my dad tried to tackle for many years.
The man that I tried to tackle the most and missed tackling the most in my career.
Yeah, I'm sure that's an epitaph for a lot of NFL careers from a certain
I'm not
time
alone. Right.
You got time. Also, we'll get Trey McBride up here. Officially, like superstar tight end of the league, it seems like the last 2 years now, he is staring eye to eye with the greats of the game.
He really is. I mean, he's elevated himself. I don't know if he's gotten the love that he deserves, but he is right there with the top tight ends. And by the way, your voice is hanging in there.
Yeah, hanging on by a thread.
And the thing about it is, people think, the voice is going because of partying. It's not. I've been with him all week. This man just talks for hours every day. He talks on this show, and then he is like the king of Radio Row and does 1,000 interviews after. So your voice is hanging in there.
Yeah, he's a loser. We've been with him the whole time. He hasn't been going anywhere.
No party.
Actually, the parties and functions start tonight.
Yeah. He's like, it's not because of the partying, because they're having parties.
They're
freaking nerd.
Yeah.
My son doesn't have a lot of friends, so if you want to invite him out and help him,
please
you don't have a lot of
friends.
What I do have are again very few vocal muscles left holding on to us. This is I saw Kyle Brandt put it out yesterday from Good Morning Football. It was the truest bit of content in Radio Row. Talked about the 3 questions that everybody asks going into Radio Row. When'd you get in town? When are you staying for the game? And then I forgot the last one already, but they were all really emblematic of the entire experience of everyone in the media around here at Radio Row.
They should really have like a station set up with some honey, some tea for the voices.
You know what?
Come on.
That's a good call. The media hospitality room up here, it's got coffee, it's got water and all the electrolytes and stuff. We need to cut through to the core of this and really give the people what they need in this room.
Yeah, come on. We should be doing salt gargles.
Oh my!
Put me in charge of this. I got it.
The people, and you should get it a tiered level of access based on how many days you've been here.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true.
You've got a badge and you've been here since Monday. Come into the special auxiliary room in the back.
The special room that has like IVs.
Yeah.
That would be it. For those that are staying the whole week, and we're saying that because we've been here the whole week.
Yes.
Should have access to IVs.
God, we're the real athletes out here.
That's exactly
really
right.
Finally.
It's exactly right. It's it's about us.
It's about us, obviously.
Yeah.
A room full of IVs and amphetamines. Welcome
Yeah.
back to the 1980s in professional sports here. Speaking of professional sports, as Jesse mentioned before, we're walking to dinner last night here, Sylvain in the French Quarter. What a lovely restaurant.
Delicious.
If you are down here,
my God,
go and make the right decision.
We had team dinner last night.
Yeah, team dinner.
Very
yeah,
nice.
yeah.
It's very nice.
And boy, did they make it enjoyable. But on the way over, we're just watching as we get up to the end of the trade deadline today in the NBA, this avalanche of moves going right up against the deadline, one that Dad is already going to be remembered and marked for the Luka Doncic trade.
Right.
That right there could have been the only move made, and this would probably have been the most impactful NBA trade deadline of my entire life. But in terms of overall activity and big star names that moved overall, last night cemented it as we now got Jimmy Butler sent from the Miami Heat to the Golden State Warriors in a move that we thought originally it sounded like was actually going to be a multi-team trade that got Kevin Durant back to Golden State for a reunion up there. But it appears late in that process, Kevin Durant decided he didn't want to go back to Golden State. And so now Jimmy Butler goes to Golden State, waives his player option for next year, and signs a 2-year, $111 million deal in the process. So obviously there are other tentacles to this. This is a deal that had about 5 teams.
I think 4 teams: Golden State, Miami, Detroit, and Utah.
Well, and the Raptors.
So
it was Jimmy Butler. The Warriors in this trade get Jimmy Butler. The Miami Heat get Andrew Wiggins, P.J. Tucker, and a protected 2025 top 10 protected 2025 first-round pick. The Pistons get Lindy Waters and Josh Richardson. The Jazz get Dennis Schroeder, and the Raptors get Kyle Anderson.
That's right. Kyle Anderson's still listed here as going to Miami. He went to Toronto. That's right.
It just goes to show that if you make enough of a scene, if you cause enough of a scene, you can force your way out in the NBA. And that's what happened. Jimmy Butler, we were like, everyone we talked to said there's a real chance he stays in Miami when this is all said and done. But guess what? He made too big of a scene.
And I guess a lot of it's what you get in return, too, because the team, even with the headache, has to make a business decision. Is it smarter to have the fiscal ability and flexibility of him staying, or is it getting back players, which, they get back some good players, Wiggins, good shooter. But to your point, how much do you want the headache?
Yeah,
and it still shows the NBA. When we had Bomani Jones on, we were talking about the NBA players maybe don't have the power they once had, but the stars still have some certain power.
Well, I think this is a case, too, though, where if you want to cross-sport compare this, because I've been on record of saying I didn't think the Jimmy Butler move one way or another was going to impact winning in a way that correlated with the level of attention that this has got.
Yes.
This is one where the noise surrounding it, to me, far outpaces the impact that Jimmy Butler will have on the court. And we'll hear from Steve Kerr, and we can talk about, hey, how does this affect their team spacing? Jimmy Butler as a shooter in this offense certainly seems like a place where he can find his basketball joy again. That statement that we heard from him in Miami. But I still think in all of this, Dad, if we're going to compare cross sports, Jimmy Butler right now is not as good as a guy like Myles Garrett, who's going to try and pry himself out. And if Jimmy Butler had still been a player of that caliber that would help the Heat and be one of the reasons they won basketball games, I struggle to see a world where they would have given him what he wanted as easily as they did.
And he may get the joy of basketball back, but the team isn't going to. I mean, the team's a play-in team at best. Right, they're sitting 11th or sitting on the outside looking in right now. And who are their shooters? Steph Curry and Buddy Hield. I mean, they're a three-point shooting team. They're two good shooters, but you lost Wiggins, who's a good shooter. He's down in Miami now. You have Jimmy's 35, Steph's 36, Draymond's 34, Kevin Looney 29, Kuminga's the youngster. He's 22. But you have an aging team, so Butler signs the 2-year extension, so that basically you got a couple of years with the age of these guys. But do we really see them making a run?
I don't, and I'm a little bit surprised in this whole ordeal because, remember, Steph Curry was on record earlier in the season going, we don't need to swing at the deadline. We're not that good right now to go and get that done. That one of many moves bundled at the deadline, though, is we also had Chris Middleton, who had been a stalwart for the Milwaukee Bucks for 11 years, traded for Kyle Kuzma, according to Shams. Now, there's a chance maybe that Chris Middleton ends up getting bought out once he gets to his new destination. But obviously, guy that had been important to the championship run, I thought was the skeleton key that kind of unlocked that roster, but dealing with way too many injuries in the last couple of years. Anytime you're coming back from surgery on both ankles as a professional basketball player, doesn't seem like that's going to be a great time.
Well, you just kept saying, when is Dame and Giannis and Middleton all going to play together? And they basically didn't, a lot because Middleton was hurt. So, and he He's what? He's 33 years old. $31 million this year. He's got a player option next year. So you're right. You may get bought out. We'll see. And Kyle Kuzma goes to the Bucs. 29-year-old, has a couple years left on his deal.
Well, and it seems to be we're kind of seeing around the league right now whether, and I think this was far ancillary in the reasons the Mavs did what they did. But remember, the Dallas Mavericks trading Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis got them under the second apron. Milwaukee dealing Chris Middleton and Kyle Kuzma coming over and waiving some of the transfer bonus there goes and gets them under the second apron. This punitive measure by the NBA that if you're a casual fan, the second apron basically restricts you from doing anything.
Basically a hard cap.
It's basically a hard cap.
Yeah.
It restricts you from doing so many things in terms of the player acquisition loopholes, what you can do in bundle and trades, how you can go about things in the draft. It restricts so much that teams now really live in fear of this in the way mimicking a hard cap. And so that another part of the process here. You had Brandon Ingram getting dealt to the Toronto Raptors as well. And then the Los Angeles Lakers kind of finish off their process here, bringing Mark Williams over from the Charlotte Hornets, So we knew they needed a big man. They went out there and got one, albeit one that's also dealt with injury. But he's 23 years old. The Lakers, in turn, and this has got to be frustrating for Dallas Mavericks fans, send Dalton Knecht, Cam Reddish, and a 2031 unprotected first-round pick and a 2030 pick swap. So Dalton Knecht, young rookie sharpshooter, could have been someone that you probably pried out of there if you were the Dallas Mavericks and actually tried hard in this, and instead now he's going to Charlotte.
Nico Harrison has so much on his plate of this better work for the fact of trading Luka away, and then if you don't win a title because you got to the championship round last year, it is going to be amazing. But think about the Lakers. In a matter of 5 days, went from a 40-year-old in LeBron and a 32-year-old in Anthony Davis to a 25-year-old in Luka and a 23-year-old in Mark Williams. A 7-footer, 240. He's kind of the guy that kind of the type of player Luka wanted for the lobs. He's a guy that, averaging 16 and 10, shooting basically 60% from the field. But he's played he's played 2.5 years. Of 212 games, he's played in 84. I mean, he's got back.
That's Embiid as hell.
I mean, he's got back and foot issues, and he's 23. So you gotta kind of hold your breath there.
Back and foot issues at 23, but back issues at 23, a lot different than back issues at 33, 35 years old.
Yeah, if you got back issues now, what's going to happen?
But I also will say you can be more likely to recover quick. You snap back as opposed to now where it is curtains for your boy. And so, Dad, I look at that move actually in conjunction with the Luka move as one of the most impactful of the deadline. Again, we can have questions about Golden State, really what Miami got in return, if that's going to do anything in the way of winning this year. And for Dallas, we know they believe they can win right now. They've said it over and over again. But for the Los Angeles Lakers, I think obviously taking the risk of bringing Luka Doncic over and having to give up Anthony Davis, more than worth it for what it provides you in the future. And now you make this move here for Williams in one that's, I think, low risk and high upside, given the fact that he's going to be playing off Luka Doncic and LeBron. So he represents something that you needed, no doubt. He's young and there's plenty of upside, and your timeline is in a completely different place now because of that Luka Doncic move, and so you can afford to do more things like this.
You completely played for the future here. You've given up. And quite honestly, with all the trades involved, the highest seeded teams that involved with trades were Milwaukee. They're sitting, I think, in the 4th slot. In the 5th slot in the East, and the Lakers are in the 5th slot in the West. You know, the other teams that made trades, you know, Toronto, New Orleans, you know, they're down the lower. Golden State, they're down in the lower part of their conferences.
Usually how we see when we talk about teams in the NFL offseason that spend a ton, teams in the NBA, a lot of times it can be teams that are a little bit further back because they've got more to fix.
But it's also a team, you look for buyers and sellers, and with the Lakers sitting in the 5th slot, you think, oh, they're going to buy for the now to try and win now. But they didn't. Well, they didn't. They bought for the future.
And it makes perfect sense as to why, because when LeBron is the center of your universe, you have to buy for now. The now is all you have and can count on here. But once you get that call that they're going to ship you the 25-year-old that's supposed to be the future face of the league, you can kind of take a sigh of relief a little bit and say, all right, maybe we don't have to be beholden to the here and now as much anymore. We can do a little bit more long-term financial planning, and it seems the Lakers have really leaned into that.
Yeah, no, they definitely have. And I think LeBron, if he stays with the Lakers, can kiss goodbye any chance of winning a title before he leaves.
I disagree with that.
You
put a player the caliber of Luka Doncic at the center of that team, who now is as motivated as he is, and also can take some of that lift off LeBron. We've had conversations for years about redundant skill sets and LeBron James and Luka Doncic being so similar, but at this point in time, you're searching for someone to take some of those big minutes away from LeBron. Say what you want about Luka's conditioning. He, as his dad pointed out, played big minutes last year, played it all the way through a postseason run, ran out of gas at the end. Now that guy can shoulder some of the load and give you scoring like that when LeBron's not on the floor.
You think this team, the way it's constructed in the next 2 years, can win a title?
I think probably when they get to next year, yeah, they could absolutely be a team that's in contention for that. I think when you've got, and we learned this with the Dallas Mavericks, who, remember, did not look like a championship midway through last year, and then made a couple of poignant moves at the deadline, and all of a sudden we're staring up at that right now. So I think things can change quickly in this league, and when that's the strength of your foundation, I think life can be pretty good.
I think there's too many other strong teams in the West.
I think a lot can change between now and then, and when you've got one of the three best players in the NBA, you're usually dealing better than most and starting in a better position than most here. How we get to that position, though, is something that I thought was interesting. Steve Kerr wants to take a look at here. The Golden State Warriors head coach had a lot to say on all of this, as his team was one of them in the center of all the rumors, and then obviously is the one that now lands Jimmy Butler here. But he says he disagrees with the timing of the NBA's trade deadline. Take a listen to what he wants.
I think the league should consider making the trade deadline at the All-Star break, just so you don't have to face these games where guys are getting traded half an hour before and a game, and, you're trying to process the emotions and trying to win a game. I don't know if it's possible, but it'd be great if we could move it back to, or make the last couple of days, before the deadline, like off day. I don't know how to do it, but these are tough days for sure.
Steve Kerr, someone always kind of taking into account the human element of trying to manage all of this. But, Dad, the one thing I would say that I'm sure the NBA would push back on is, hey, it's been awful nice having all this attention on one of the biggest media weeks of the year while the Super Bowl's getting ready to go on this weekend. The NBA, one day after the next, has been the lead headline.
It's nice. We can only talk about the game for so long.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Previewing,
can only break down the game in the city for so long.
Yeah.
And
checks
also,
in the mail, Adam. Checks in the mail.
And also, you'd be taking shine away from the All-Star game. Right? Because we'd be talking about the trades.
Oh, yeah.
The All-Star game.
But no. Listen, I get it from what we're saying, but the league would like attention on the All-Star weekend.
God, it might make it more interesting. Watch this guy find out in live time as he's playing in the All-Star skills competition that he got traded.
Yeah, you put this in the lead up to the All-Star game, and now all of a sudden these guys all have to answer questions. Think about that. The NBA, the biggest sports gossip show in the history of the known universe, now all of a sudden gets that weekend for all the players to get together and talk about what just happened and get asked about what just happened. I'm with you, Jesse. If you want to make the All-Star game great in the NBA, you put all this right before that and then basically turn that into a bunch of tea spilling that goes on with these guys around the water cooler.
Did you see, were you showing us the video last night? Some guy was filming himself breaking the news of the Jimmy Butler trade to the Heat bench.
There was a guy sitting behind the bench talking to Kevin Love and all these dudes and going through all the line items on the trade.
And they're all like,
hey,
what?
Hey, you don't get that if they remove the trade deadline.
No, but you don't get that in real time at the NBA All-Star game.
The guys are still going to be talking about the NBA All-Star game. I mean, they're still going to be talking about it. And plus, you save the fact of nobody knows where their return flight's going to go after the All-Star weekend.
Yeah, right.
Wait a minute, I'm not on a team anymore.
Just book one-way tickets, and then we'll figure it out after.
How about it?
Yeah, a one-way ticket. Well, apparently that's what Jimmy Butler finally got, his one-way ticket out of Miami. And to Jesse's point, the Jimmy Butler and James Harden school of I will act a fool until I get what I want remains undefeated. Now, again, part of that is maybe not as good as you once was, but the Warriors hoping he can be as good once as he ever was.
Wow,
well
that was beautiful.
Well
not gonna lie.
Could he have moved further?
Yeah, that is also true.
Wow.
Yeah, he was.
That being said,
Toronto?
That Pacific Northwest, Northern California area, great for coffee. Big Face Coffee has found an exciting new home. Starbucks quaking in their boots. right now. Speaking of quaking in their boots, that's what offensive linemen do when Myles Garrett lines up. Coming up next, he lined up with our friend Mina Kimes to talk about his future outside of Cleveland. Next on Gojo and Golic.
Super Week on DraftKings Network is brought to you by Tums. Whenever heartburn strikes, get fast relief with Tums. It's time to love food back again.
Welcome back to Gojo and Golic. So we've been running features here all week from a couple weeks ago when Gojo came down here with Tums and ate his way through the city.
Yeah.
Check out his dinner at Sylvain.
Oh my God. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Gojo Eats New Orleans, presented by our friends at Tums. I'm Mike Golic Jr., and I'm searching the Crescent City for some of the best spots to eat and drink. And with so many great options all in one place, you don't want anything holding you back. So if heartburn strikes, get fast relief with Tums. It's time to love food back again. And when you're in the Big Easy, love can come in a lot of different forms, but most often it's in the form of a great meal. So that's why we're heading to Sylvain in the French Quarter to find love in an incredibly delicious place. Let's go to work. All right, we're here at Sylvain. I am joined here by Lindsay. And what do you guys go for? What would you say the edge is here at Sylvain?
Our tagline is kind of too dark, too loud. It stems from a lot of reviews that we've gotten over the course of time.
So you guys have weaponized the negative reviews.
Correct.
Okay, and made it the identity.
Yeah.
I love it.
So it's, it's part of our charm.
This place, an incredible edge, but a ton of heart and incredible cocktails here. I'm gonna have an afternoon. All right, I'm here with Ellie. What can you tell us about the history of this spot?
Sylvain was named after a French opera. It was the first French opera performed in New Orleans.
The other thing I heard, this restaurant is at least somewhat haunted.
Yeah, so the proprietress here, this was her private residence, but she was a madam of a brothel. She entertained people like William Faulkner and Tennessee Williams. We make her a drink to keep her happy. We keep a Sazerac up at the bar top.
You mentioned the cocktails. What do we have here?
I made a classic hurricane, not the Patos bright red version.
I have to say, I am super intrigued by like the artfully done hurricane. I would love to give this a... Oh, that is incredibly refreshing.
It won't give you the hangover that the Patos version absolutely will.
Delightful. We are back in the kitchen. I have a camera. These are bad ideas to allow me to happen, but these people are kind enough to do so. Todd Pulcinelli, the culinary director and executive chef here. Todd, walk me through what you're cooking up here today.
A good take that we do on like fried green tomatoes and shrimp remoulade. So what I'm doing here is we got green tomatoes that are just sliced and breaded. They're marinated in a little hot sauce and buttermilk.
Would you say this is one of the most often ordered items here?
Absolutely. So we'll let these drain a little bit, get some of that fryer grease out of there. Just gonna kind of shingle these up. And then we have our shrimp, and we'll do about 4 whole shrimp on here. This is green tomatoes that's cooked down with jalapenos, a little bit of curry and turmeric, ginger, garlic, and it just really pushes this like traditional dish just over the top.
That is beautiful. Todd, incredible. I am very excited to take a bite out of this. I feel like I'm supposed to fork and knife this, but I want to just go ahead and get, oh yeah. Oh, you're bad. Oh my God, it's so juicy. This is primal what I'm feeling right now. Oh, roll that in there. Get all that kissing. It's literally like a savory gusher exploding in my mouth here. Get real Nat Geo with it, little freaks. No one left behind.
Dang, how was it?
I need to shake your hand. That is one of the best things I've ever eaten. I told them I don't actually like tomatoes in my normal life. That is one of the best things I've ever had.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Todd. This is incredible.
You destroyed that thing, wow.
Did you hear that? He goes, he destroyed that. I am familiar with that reaction. Oh my God. I have a bit of an eating problem. All right, here you go. They're living right here. That ghost should be damn proud. Thank you again to the folks at Sylvain for a phenomenal experience. Definitely make it a part of your game plan anytime you're visiting New Orleans. They are incredible. But if through all that deliciousness you find yourself feeling some discomfort, don't let heartburn keep you on the sideline. Try Tums' new Chewy Bites here with the tasty outer shell, the soft center for fast relief of heartburn, acid indigestion, and upset stomach. You can get it at Amazon, Target, and major retailers nationwide. It is time to go digest as hard as we ate because I am stuffed. Let's get out of here.
Okay, 2 things here. First of all, again, with the sexualizing the food. It was, that one was pretty bad. You called them little freaks at one point.
They were little freaks.
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable?
Nasty
I was
freaks.
sitting here like, oh God, should I be watching this?
I mean, I'm his dad. Think about that.
Yeah, real freaky, if you will. Second of all, Sylvain,
Any
so
playoff
good. We
team
actually
or-
went last
no,
night,
yeah,
and it was
championship team.
amazing.
They're gonna have a
Every
quarterback,
bit of it
a good
earned.
quarterback, and you've seen some
Every
game
bit
managers
earned.
go out there with a
we have
great
some
defense
sound in
and
our
win it
ear.
all, but, you know,
Oops.
if you
We're
want to
glitching.
We're glitching.
Oops. Yeah.
Yeah,
There we go.
We're going to
There
get
we
to you,
go.
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
I'm talking about my mildly pornographic food experience.
Yeah,
and
mildly.
you need to respect that.
Yeah, I would take out the word mild.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. Again, getting a chance to eat your way through this city is to die for. But I've been down here a bunch. Like I did 2 off-season stints here with the New Orleans Saints. Come back to cover games plenty. I come down here for bachelor parties like everybody else here. Sylvain is arguably my favorite place I've ever eaten here. So cannot endorse that one enough. Cannot thank them enough for inviting us into their doors and for letting us go back last night to finish the job the right way.
That was some good stuff.
Yeah, it was
everything was great.
Great food.
The sweats, they are a-coming here. Speaking of the disembodied voice that you guys may or may not have heard just now, this was interesting yesterday, and the buzz around Radio Row was that Myles Garrett, the star pass rusher for the Cleveland Browns, showed up in the midst of a situation where he has gone out and demanded a trade from the Cleveland Browns, the franchise he has called home since he entered the league, and has since become one of the best defensive players of right now, of all time, trending in that direction, showed up around Radio Row to answer some questions about his future, and I'm sure continue to drum up the noise around a situation that he wants out of. Our friend Mina Kimes over at the Mina Kimes Show featuring Lenny podcast had a chance to sit down with Myles Garrett and talk about some of the things that might be important to him in a new destination, including the quarterback position. Take a listen.
any playoff team or any, no. championship team, they're going to have a quarterback, a good quarterback. And you've seen some game managers go out there with a great defense and win it all. But if you want to consistently be at the top, you got to have a really good quarterback.
There's the obvious, the guys in the Super Bowl, your Josh Allens, your Lamar. They're obviously not going to trade you the Ravens. But what about a youngster like Jaden Daniels, like an up-and-coming star? Could that appeal to you at all?
Absolutely. I mean, he looked great. I mean, he looked great when we played him, but he really showed us behind when he was in the playoffs. And, he's really done it and been very composed throughout the entire season.
Dad, I think that to me is a part that makes total sense. Is he doesn't want to leave this to chance right now. He understands, and the reason this is happening is he is 29 years old. He wants one more big payday, but wants to get out of this shadow of losing and quite honestly, mediocrity that has been the Cleveland Browns for the majority of my adult lifetime, with very few exceptions. And so going to a place where you can hitch your wagon to a star quarterback seems like a must.
I mean, listen, it's the only thing missing from his resume, right? He's gotten paid once, obviously looking to get paid again. He's been the best defensive player in the league. He's got all the individual honors. Now he wants what most players want in this great team sport, and that's a team championship. And he's not unfortunately not close to it in Cleveland. But again, we talk about the power, of the player. I mean, he doesn't have his option is to sit and just take away his services from a team to draw a line in the sand. He's got 2 years left on his deal, and the Browns could just say, listen, we're not trading him. He's not going to talk his way into a trade unless he says I'm not playing, which I don't know if Myles Garrett would do that. We have no idea. He hasn't hinted at that at all. He's trying to keep everything amicable right now. But in a situation like this, rubber's going to meet the road. You're going to get too close to next season. You're going to get into the flow of next season. Is it going to be part of the Browns? Are they going to honor it and try and trade him, or are they going to say, dude, we're not trading you? So hey, off-season program starts. So in a couple of months, we'll see you there.
Well, and that's why I am interested in how far he is willing to go down this course of action, because even by showing up here and increasing the conversation around it, he's showing I'm willing to play ball to a certain extent right now. Again, we'll see if he is willing to fly to China to slander the general manager that he's known for his entire life level of ready to spark this thing up.
Right.
But right now, at the very least, he wants to keep this at the forefront of conversation during the biggest week of the NFL season. And that, at least to me, is a small sign of like, all right, I'm ready to play ball in the ways necessary to make this happen. Is he too good of a player, Dad? And do the Browns owe him anything in terms of services rendered for a guy that's done so much for this franchise?
I've said this forever. It is at the end of the day, it's a business. You can be as great as you want, or and that's what we're talking about, because average players, you get treated how you get treated. But even great players, it's a business. The Cleveland Browns need to do what's best for the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett is trying to do what's best for Myles Garrett. You get compensated well as a football player, especially a great football player, for your services. So he's trying to do what's best for him individually, go to a team that could win a championship, and the Browns have an incredible asset that is great on the field and can bring them back a haul. If they don't get back what they think is worth Myles Garrett, then they shouldn't do it. This is a purely nothing. This should be the old standard line. Hey, nothing personal. This is business. But you try and say that, and it does get personal, and it's hard for it not to be personal when it gets to rubber meeting the road time, where it can get personal. But Cleveland. Listen, I'm a former player, and I'll say the Browns don't owe Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett played great for them. Myles Garrett got paid well for them, right?
It is a transaction.
I mean, it's a transactional business. So you do what's right for you. Myles is trying to do what's right for him, and the Browns need to decide what's right for them.
Which is the argument that I would make for why they should trade him.
Yeah, you can get a haul.
Entertain it, is because right now we are getting to the point now where I think every year from here on out you'll be talking about more miles on his body,
right?
Another year added, less control, and all these
big
different
contract
things.
You'd have to pay him.
But I mean, not a lot of guaranteed money left on this contract,
right.
I believe. So, but some issues, no doubt, that it presents there. But if you're the Cleveland Browns at this point in time, You're a bad football team, and most of the parts of your roster that were good had shown signs of atrophy. Obviously, you botched the quarterback position. Wide receivers gone in a different direction. The offensive line that was the foundation of the team after all the injuries in the last couple of years finally started to show cracks. Running back and Nick Chubb was injured coming into last year. All these different things. So why not, especially at a time where you're going to dive back into the quarterback pool, get as many of the resources as you can, the lottery tickets to the draft party, to be able to go out here and spend and reset that timeline for your organization.
And then, you can all walk away happy in that scenario.
Yes.
At a certain point, amicable rather than taking the chance of having him sit.
Again, having it work for both sides.
Yeah.
Myles going to a contending team and the Browns getting back a haul. Listen, this comes down to what the Browns think. I think he's 29.
Yep.
2 years left on his deal. Are the Browns going to be contenders in the next 2 years? Probably not. No. So, are you going to?
No.
Are you then going to pay him to stay while you are building a team when he'll be in his early 30s? Give him another big contract, or you say, okay, we got a couple of years. We're kind of retooling. And we're going to get a big haul for him coming back, which they will. It would seem to be the smart in looking to the next 2, 3, 4 years, the smarter business decision to trade him.
Yeah, this is as close to like ethical tanking as there would be in the NFL. I know
ethical tanking.
Well, I know our friend and ESPN NFL analyst Dominique Foxworth abhors tanking, thinks that culturally what it does to a team and the message it sends to your veterans is a bad one. But in this case, God, everyone sees the writing on the wall, including Myles Garrett, who's the one saying, yeah, I want off this burning ship as one of the few good players left on this team that's trying to go accomplish. And so it seems like it could serve everyone in that way if you go and pull the trigger now. But again, to Dad's point, that's the internal math that the Browns now have to do.
Right.
Is do we actually think we run the risk of having this guy be so disruptive between now and the lead up to the season that ultimately it would benefit us more? Because, again, what we're talking about here, I do believe you could get like quarterback level compensation, multiple first round picks,
you could get close
players,
to it for this guy.
The kind
Absolutely.
of stuff that can absolutely help you when you're going out here, and whether it's taking a swing on the quarterback in this year's draft or trying to set up the foundation for the quarterback of your future on that roster, since it is no longer going to be Deshaun Watson. That to me makes logical enough sense that the Browns need to consider that and could get Myles Garrett what he wants.
I just think the timing of everything and one of the main things is him going to want a new deal and want big money and be a decent cap hit when you're a couple of years away from being a good team, and he'll be in his early 30s.
Yeah.
It just seems to make sense to trade him.
It does. And, God, if you're a new team lining up to give Myles Garrett the contract that he wants for a guy that among the NFL's premier edge rushers, when you look at him, Micah Parsons and T.J. Watt, there is no physical comparison amongst those three. It is Myles Garrett and then the other two with a considerable gap from one of the best space alien players in the NFL. We got one of the best players in the NFL coming up to join us next year. Cardinals star tight end Trey McBride stopping by Gojo and Golic at Radio Row.
Super Week on DraftKings Network is brought to you by Tums. Whenever heartburn strikes, get fast relief with Tums. It's time to love food back again.
Welcome back to Gojo and Golic, live at Radio Row, the site of Super Bowl 59 here in New Orleans. Mike Golic Jr. and Mike Golic Sr. And as the week rolls along, we've had a lot of great guests come through, and we get even better today here. Joining us now on behalf of his go-to protein drink, Rockin' Protein, is Trey McBride. Trey is the newest member of Team Rockin', a team of athletes who don't compromise on their performance and never settle on taste or high-quality protein, which, Trey, I got to start there. As a guy now, I'm 35 years old. When I was coming up and drinking protein and trying to gain weight to play football, I had this antiquated notion in my head that if the protein did not taste bad, it was not actually doing the job. I thought protein had to taste bad, so you are here to change those assumptions.
Yeah,
correct?
No doubt. Yeah, that's kind of the same thing I had in mind as well. But getting exposed to this, it's changed everything. This tastes just like a smoothie. It tastes like a shake, man. It's phenomenal. They got different flavors, everything you want in this. It's available nationwide. It's as good as it gets, man. They got 3 different flavors: vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry as well. So pick your poison there. So it's good.
To even go further back, when I was in the league, that's when supplements started to become big, and the protein powder was god awful. And you had guys taking the dry scoops too, going, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, they'd be their throat would hurt for hours.
Exactly. Yeah, it's come a long way. It's come a long way for sure.
We have come a long way from dry scooping pre-workout and protein, and Trey McBride and Rockin' Protein here to usher us into a new era. And listen, Trey, you've kind of ushered really the tight end conversation into a new era. For so long, everyone kind of had Kittle, Kelsey, these group of guys all mixed in here now. And in the last 2 years, you're now staring eye to eye with all of these guys. What has this been like for you in the last couple of seasons to watch your play now get you the respect of your peers and the accolades being a Pro Bowler?
Yeah, it's very surreal. It's just very cool to be considered in the same conversation as some of these guys that I've grown up watching and idolized my whole life. So just to be able to know that I can compete and I can put up the same numbers that these guys are doing is very, cool to me as well. But it's so cool to be a part of that same conversation as Travis, George, some of these guys that have been doing it at a high level for such a long time.
Do you feel like you're getting your due, though? I mean, you were 4th in the league in receptions with 111. I mean, in just your 3rd year. You getting your due?
Yeah, it's crazy because sometimes I feel like I should have a few more catches. I didn't get enough catches sometimes, but at the same time, it's very cool. I feel like me and Kyler have a great connection. I feel like he knows what I'm doing. I know what he's doing, and I'm just excited for that connection to continue to grow, continue to build, and I think the sky's the limit for our offense.
And for this position, it seems to be going from Kelsey, Kittle, Mark Andrews was in there, to now McBride and Bowers. You had Brock Bowers, the rookie, who was 3rd in the league in receptions. Of you youngsters kind of taking over the league. And you mentioned how you're used with Kyler Murray. How has that developed in the short time you've been in the league?
Yeah, just from where I was year 1 to where I am now, it's grown significantly. He plays a different style of game. He does a great job of doing everything the right way, but he's such a unique quarterback. He's a guy who can make a play with his feet, can make a play with his arms, so you gotta be ready for everything with him. And I feel like him and I have a great sense of what we're doing, and we have a great connection, and I'm just excited for that to grow.
How much did that change this year, and how much did you have to work and help integrate Marvin Harrison Jr., your guys' rookie first-round pick, comes in so highly touted here? What was he like working in that huddle alongside you and Kyler as that relationship?
Yeah, obviously he's a tremendous athlete. 4th pick. His dad's a stud. Marvin's a great player. He does everything the right way. He works really hard. But just the adjustment from college to the NFL, it's not easy for anybody, no matter who you are. So he did a great job of adjusting. He had a great season, but I think from year 2 to year, from year 1 to year 2, he's going to make another significant jump. And I'm just excited to see, when things start to slow down for him, how great he really can be.
You talk about quarterbacks that can get on the move, and Kyler Murray certainly is one of them. Explain to people that it's not just kind of schoolyard ball when he gets out of the pocket, that you guys actually have things you're supposed to do when he breaks the pocket.
Yeah, no, that's very true. We get taught that every single week. We actually practice it a lot because of such a mobile quarterback that we have. But, yeah, there's different rules, based on where you are, relative to him, if you're high, you might come back low. If you're low, you might take it high. If you're on the backside, you're supposed to run the home run angle, the big post on the backside. But Kyler does a great job of finding people. He makes people miss. He does so much things with his legs, his arm, and I just love playing with the guy.
And you guys have produced great results for this team, but there's still another level, as you know, to be one of those teams consistently in the playoffs. The NFC West, such a juggernaut of a division. So in your mind, what do you guys need to do next, whether it's another player, the next step in your guys' evolution, to get over that hump and be a consistent playoff contender?
Yeah, I think it's just the confidence of knowing that we're able to do that. I mean, we were right on the cusp of winning the division, going to the playoffs, and I just feel like we kind of shied away from it a little bit. But now that we know what we're capable of doing, the team that we're capable of being, I think we have the right people, we have the right coach, we have the right quarterback at the helm. So everything is getting placed the right way. I think we just need to plug in place a couple positions here and there. But I'm excited to see what this year can do, man. We got a young team, and I'm eager to see what the Cardinals do next year.
And listen, for you personally, Pro Bowl this year, and also you were a second-round pick, so that's a 4-year deal. So you're in your year unless they want to do something this offseason. Where is all of that?
Yeah, I'm kind of just letting it all kind of work itself out. Hopefully we can get something done this offseason. But at the same time, man, I love being in Arizona. I want to be there. So everything's great, man. I kind of let the GM and the agent kind of work that stuff out.
They should be working it out this offseason.
Yeah.
They should not let you get to your final year.
Get it figured out, because the price is only going to go up.
Yeah. That's right.
You mentioned your head coach, Jonathan Gannon. It comes over, and I think he's one of those guys. We went through this with the fresh round of coaches here, where you get some fun introductory press conference moments. Everyone remembers the pew 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 with Kyler Murray there. But what has he been like as a leader for you guys in this program?
He's great, man. He does such a good job of rallying the guys, getting us ready to go. I feel so prepared every single week, and my body feels good. He does a great job of taking care of us, during the week for practice. But most importantly, I think him and Monty have done a great job of building the culture the right way from the foundation up. And he's brought the right coaches in. He's drafted well. They've brought the right players in to keep this thing successful for a long time. So I'm excited to see how he continues to build the program and continues to build this culture the next couple years.
So becoming a star in the league and going around and doing all the shows now and kind of being the face of the tight end position, the growing tight end position in the league, you get asked all the fun questions now. What do you think of the possibility of going to 18 games?
Yeah, no, I think it's it's crazy. I think it's going to happen, right? It's probably just a matter of time, with the money and the things, the TV revenue that they get. I hope we get a little bit back in return. Maybe it's an extra bye week, or maybe they take some preseason games out, or I don't know how they're going to structure that, but it's just a matter of time until they add more games. Eventually, we'll probably be playing 20 or 25, down the road. So it's just a matter of time.
It is the right attitude to have, because obviously the union is going to come out and say we don't want to do it, but that's I think, in being part of the union for a bunch of years, is that's just to get something in return, right?
Yeah.
Okay, if they're going to put another game, which you're right, it's going to happen, what can you get back for it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just hopefully we get a little bit back, or exactly what we want back in return for the 18th game.
I think the other thing there we've seen this week, one of the big stories, certainly the NBA, we see guys force their way out, trades all the time here, but Myles Garrett, star pass rusher for the Cleveland Browns, trying to force his way out. How surprised are you to see guys in this league now all of a sudden trying to go force the hand of their teams?
Yeah, and you got such an elite player like him who makes a difference. Any team he gets on, that team instantly gets better, right? That defense is going to be instantly better just because of the havoc that he brings and the disruption that he brings on the defensive end. But I'm excited to see where he ends up. Hopefully the Cardinals can find a way to get him. We got a little bit of money, and we could use a defensive rusher like him.
You can't get nailed for tampering, right?
No.
It's just the coach and the executives.
That's right, yeah. But if I can recruit him anyway, man, I'd love to have him over. Except I don't want to block him in practice. That sounds miserable.
That is true. You got to have that brother-in-law agreement going up there. Like, listen, we both got big weekends coming up. Let's get through this the right way here.
No doubt.
Speaking of that, and your continued moving throughout all this and kind of the recruiting stuff, going to the Pro Bowl, getting to be around a bunch of the star players in this league and compete in that for a guy that's watched so many of these guys. What was the biggest thing you took away from that? It's obviously a different experience with the game and the way it's changed, but what was your big takeaway from being around those guys?
Yeah, just watching those guys, seeing how they prepare, seeing how they get ready for a game. But it was just really cool to be associated with those guys. For those guys to know who I was, just for them to know who I was before I introduced myself. Things like that was really surreal for me. These are guys I've been watching and growing up, loving watching these guys play, and just to finally be a part of that game, to finally, be in that game and be a part of those guys, it was just a very surreal moment.
I don't think you really had to introduce yourself to them.
Yeah.
I think they do know who you are. Now, you were never part of the Pro Bowl when they played an actual game,
Right.
so they do all the trying to make it as exciting for fans to watch both there and on TV. What event did you like the most, or maybe excel at the most?
I think the skills challenge was pretty fun. We had to do a couple one-handed catches. Then you put these mascot Hulk gloves is what I called it, those big Hulk gloves. You have to catch a ball with that, and then you get to run and dive, and it was just a fun event where all the guys did something fun, and the fans loved it. It was a great time.
Awesome. It was a lot of fun. I'm with you. The Hulk hands were a lot of fun. Made me think of Step Brothers, all the good stuff. Let's spin ahead to the game a little bit here, just because we have a couple of really good tight ends in this game.
Yeah.
Certainly headlined by Travis Kelce, who's a future Hall of Famer. What, when you study or watch Travis Kelce, to you is the difference, why he's been able to be this good for this long?
Travis is such a unique player. He does a great job, in my opinion, of finding zones and being open. Him and Mahomes have a great connection. They do a great job of knowing where each other's going to be, but Travis just finds open zones and runs the route to get open, and not necessarily what he's supposed to do on paper. And he's a great player. He does a great job of, and him and Mahomes have been very successful. So
Yeah, I mean, listen, they played together. That helps. Obviously, like you and Kyler are played together, you kind of get that chemistry of
Right.
knowing where each other's going to be. How do you kind of see this game playing out?
I want both tight ends to score 3 or 4 touchdowns
There we
each,
go.
and I'll
There
be
you
happy.
go.
Dallas on the other end is obviously a stud tight end
Yes.
too. So I'm excited to see the matchup between these two. But I have no skin in the game. It doesn't matter to me either way. I just hope the tight ends eat.
The tight end camaraderie is unbelievable. The
Well, you
National
got
Tight End
The National
Day.
Tight End Day. I mean, what is that's amazing.
Yeah, and then George and Travis do the tight end U every year. Man, it's just they do a great job of getting everybody together. I feel like I'm pulling for those guys just as much as they're pulling for me.
Is that extend to broadcasting, or like, are you guys all secretly getting together and like rooting for and plotting for Greg Olsen to get back into one chair?
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, definitely need him back in there, man. That was screwed up what they did to him.
There we go. Justice for Greg
For a
Olsen.
quarterback,
Yeah.
right? For a quarter, the quarterbacks get everything.
That's always how it goes. So outside of the two guys in this game that we just mentioned here, as you go into the offseason, everyone has guys I'm sure that they like to look at or maybe take stuff from. Who are some of your favorite tight ends in the league right now to watch?
Yeah, a guy I get to compete against twice a year, in the NFC West. George Kittle's a guy who sticks out to me. He does everything the right way. He is playing at a really high level still at the age he's at, man. It's really cool to watch him do what he does. And Mark Andrews is another guy, like you guys said, man. I love watching Mark. He's been a high level tight end. He does everything the right way. He got a little bad rap at the end of the season, but he's a stud, man. He does everything the right way.
That was tough.
That was tough.
That was a bad deal. It's just so unfortunate because he had such a great season and did so much for that team, and then just had one, bad game, and that kind of happens.
Unfortunately, in a big moment, but it happens. He has a lot of catches, and unfortunately, it happened. When did your off season start?
Yeah, I took a little bit of time off, kind of get my body healed up. I was a little banged up, but I don't really ever stop. I kind of just continue working out, continue kind of in the groove, and then had the Pro Bowl and this stuff, so I'll get right back to it once I get back done with
It's another difference of my year and his year.
What?
We took like 3 months off.
I mean, were you ever really on? Like, you were driving home eating gas station pizza after work back in your
talking
day.
about? I mean, okay, so why do you got to bring that up?
There you go, bringing up old stuff again.
Yeah,
there you go.
So,
I'm the dad. Remember,
again,
I'm the dad.
Yes, exactly. Well, you were doing that. Trey McBride enjoying Rockin' Protein, making sure he gets that. So again, one more time, where can everyone find Rockin' Protein?
Yeah, if you go to rockinprotein.com, if you go on there and put your address in, your zip code, it'll tell you every store in your location that has has the protein in stock. Man, it's available all over the country, and it's a phenomenal protein shake.
Favorite flavor?
I'm a real simple, just a vanilla flavor, man. Okay. You can't go wrong. It tastes phenomenal, and I can probably drink 10 of those things.
There we go. The official off-season fuel of Trey McBride here. Trey, congratulations on all the success,
absolutely.
man. Been a ton of fun to watch your rise, and now going to be even more fun to watch how high you guys and this Cardinals team continue to fly.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah, appreciate
awesome
it, man.
Stuff. Great stuff from Trey McBride here. We are just getting started over on Radio Row on Gojo and Golic. Coming up next, Emmitt Smith off the top of hour number 2, and a very important day of the week for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander next.
Welcome back to Gojo and Golic. SGA scored 50 points, and the NBA-leading Oklahoma City Thunder routed the Phoenix Suns 140-109 on Wednesday night to improve to 40-9. The Thunder said SGA became the 9th player in NBA history to score at least 50 points 3 times in a 7-game span. He had a career-high 54 against Utah on January 29th and 52 at Golden State a week ago. All his recent 50s have come on Wednesdays. For those that need that information, SGA is the odds-on leader to win the MVP this season. We are the odds-on leader to interview Emmitt Smith next.
Welcome back to Gojo and Golic. Mike Golic Jr., Mike Golic Sr., Jesse Cofield here for hour number 2. Our thanks to star tight end Trey McBride for joining us from the Arizona Cardinals at the end of the last hour here.
Dude's going to get paid.
Oh, my God. He's going to get paid so much money.
He is.
Just been consistent. I mean, and going back to college, was a Mackey Award winner. This did not come out of nowhere.
No, it did not.
By any means. But I think the rise, especially his first season, where first half of that year, no Kyler Murray because he was coming back from that injury, he really helped buoy that offense and stick out in a year where there wasn't a lot else to get excited about.
And this is where, quite honestly, being a second-rounder benefited him because he progressed perfectly to the point of he's going into a contract year, which he should not get into.
Oh, yeah.
They should be signing him this offseason and being the 4th leading receiver in the league as you're going into the last year of your contract. No 5th-year option because he wasn't a first-rounder, so he hit it perfectly.
He did hit it perfectly, and we mentioned that young offense there with him, Marvin Harrison Jr., who, listen, there were some rookie growing pains for a guy that was still incredibly productive, but you go along there. The one I didn't see, James Conner, I don't know what his contract situation is with them going forward, because if you have him coming back, the three-headed monster on that offense around the quarterback position, certainly going to be something here. So thank you to him. Coming up in this hour here, Adam Devine going to join us at the end of the show, great actor and comedian. I love The Righteous Gemstones.
Oh, my gosh. He's so good in it. He's so good in it.
Everything in me. Between that and Pitch Perfect, this man really checks some of the boxes for my favorite shows that he's been a part of here. He's a part of a great Super Bowl ad that we're going to talk about. Jerome Bettis, former Notre Dame all-time great at running back, whose son getting ready to head to South Bend as a wide receiver. Joining a laundry list of former pros whose sons go play there, including former Notre Dame pros, him and Bryant Young, the former all-time great defensive lineman.
I think Marcus Freeman didn't doing a great job recruiting.
Yeah, no, and you know what? It's a good strategy, much like we're seeing in this Super Bowl, where Howie Roseman's strategy of just draft Georgia Bulldogs players until they refuse to let you draft anymore has worked out very well. Marcus Freeman's strategy of recruit guys with impressive Hall of Fame NFL bloodlines seems to also be working out pretty well. And then Emmitt Smith, hopefully going to join us here pretty soon on the show here. A guy, Dad, who I'm curious for him how conflicted he is watching this game, because on one hand, you've got a guy in Saquon Barkley who has helped reignite the running back conversation this season. He's on the cusp of some all-time postseason records. He's put together one of the best seasons of that position we've seen in recent memory. But he's doing it for the Philadelphia Eagles. And as a former Dallas Cowboy, I do wonder how much he's allowed to celebrate this.
How much does the rivalry still matter, being that many years removed from the league? Is there still the dislike for them? Because I don't dislike the Cowboys. I mean, I hated them when I played for the Eagles. It was a hell of a rivalry. But, I mean, I don't dislike them anymore.
No, but I think you have a more well-adjusted relationship with sports than most of us right now. You don't live and die with Notre Dame the same way that I do. No. Emmitt Smith, I mean, was also – this is kind of what we talk about with Jason Kelsey when everyone asks him who he's rooting for in this game, and he still sides somewhat with the Philadelphia Eagles because his relationship with that city, he was such the totem for that team in the same way Emmitt Smith is one of the all-time greats, is thought of so synonymously with the Cowboys. I do wonder if it's a little harder, Jesse, for him to take off that hat.
Gojo's trying to say that you weren't good enough to be like,
there's just one problem, Happy.
You weren't a good enough player that you're synonymous with your city. That's what he's saying.
Do you guys feel good hurting my feelings?
I'm just letting you know.
I didn't say that. You remember,
it is what you're saying.
We went back to Pro Football Reference and we looked up the history of the number 90s in Philadelphia Eagles, and according to their estimated value on that, Dad is the second-ranked number 90 in Philadelphia Eagles franchise history.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It just goes to show you that there weren't a lot of great players wearing number 90.
Hey, listen, or plot twist, you did such a great job during that time period. Look, this is support for the father.
Yeah.
After ripping me, you're just trying to make up for it a little bit. I get it. I know what you're doing.
I'm trying to diversify the portfolio here because you have put a lot of pressure on me to lead this show here. Let's talk about the pressure going into this game here. Guys, if we can get that Nick Sirianni sound from earlier that we are going to have up in the show here, I did want to hear from the Eagles head coach, who sort of in the center. We love having pressure conversations in sports media, and quite honestly, at Thursday of Super Bowl week, I'm willing to pull the ripcord on that. But I do think for Nick Sirianni, he's in such a unique place, because even if they get to this point and lose coming off this game, I still do wonder how many of his detractors are going to show up. So let's play, if we can, Nick Sirianni from opening night talking about the pressure on this team.
The Eagles are the first team since the 92-93 Dallas Cowboys to enter this game with the top-ranked defense and a rushing game to post over 2,000 yards. Is there any added pressure with such an elite defense and a strong rushing attack to win this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're going to do everything we can possibly do to put ourselves in position this week to win the game. That means the way we prep, the way we prepare. There's always pressure in this game. Like, have you been to Philly?
Well, that season that Nick Sirianni just mentioned, the Dallas Cowboys 92-93, a 2,000-yard rusher, a top-ranked defense, and the pressure that comes with it. Who better to talk about that with than the Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith, kind enough to join us now on behalf of Tableau here. Emmitt, morning, man. How you doing?
I'm good.
Why you got to relive the 92-93 season already?
Because you were on the field.
Oh, yeah, but I wasn't in the Super Bowl like you were.
Yeah, well, that ain't my fault. You control your own destiny.
Yeah.
God, he's got a great point, Dad. Take some responsibility. This guy is the ultimate pull the thumb, take accountability for what happened. That doesn't sound like accountability right now.
Listen, we didn't get there. People always talked about our defense, saying it was one of the great defenses ever, but we never closed the deal.
But you were one of the greatest defense, and I'm gonna tell you right now, we built our football team because of your defense. Your defense was very tough to run the ball against. Buddy Ryan did a great job with that 46 defense, slowing down the run game and everything else. And you had great defensive players: Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, Seth Joyner, Byron Evans, and on and on and on, including yourself. So I knew going into games against Philadelphia early on in my career that you're not going to get 100 yards, bro. You'd be lucky to get 65 to 70. You'll be lucky. So for me, it wasn't a whole lot of dancing, making guys miss because somebody else was coming right there. And the holes were very small and tight anyway. So it contained everything. Couldn't bounce outside. You had to run between the tackles, which is fine. But I understood that.
Sure, and you had to make that adjustment.
Look at him talking so nice about the defense as they won back-to-back Super Bowls, and he wears a gold jacket now.
Well, yeah, for sure, because we did it because we had to compete against you guys twice a year.
Yeah, Jimmy built a great team. There's no doubt about it.
And early on, y'all was beating the living crap out of us.
Especially Troy.
Yeah, you were smiling when you sacked Troy Aikman 11 times. Texas was,
Yeah. I actually got 2.5 in that game, which was a stunner. You knew it was a bad day for the Cowboys when I got 2.5 sacks.
Y'all was laughing and smiling early, but y'all was crying late.
Yeah, we were. And you know what? That bodes the line. It's not where you start, it's where you finish.
Where we finish right now is a Super Bowl where now the Philadelphia Eagles are the team that's been here for the last couple of seasons, a rematch of the game we saw 2 years ago. And Emmitt, I'm curious for you. On one hand, you see Saquon Barkley and this revitalization of the running back position, everyone talking about how great he is as an MVP finalist, but you got to watch him do it for the Philadelphia Eagles. How conflicted is that for you as someone who I'm sure appreciates good running back play?
You know what? I'm not conflicted at all because you're right. I do appreciate good running back play, but what I appreciate the most is the focal point of what the running back position can do. The league shifted, and the league sent the message out. Our focal point is on our quarterbacks. We want to market and promote the quarterback position and make that become the league's hallmark position. And they did that because, obviously, Lamar Jackson runs that Wildcat offense better than anybody on the planet. And they try to make other quarterbacks do exactly what Lamar Jackson does. And these other quarterbacks are good, but they're not Lamar Jackson. And you know this. The league is a copycat league.
Yep.
And when they did that, they went away from the running game, and the marketing machine of the National Football League, which is you guys.
Cough, cough.
Which is you guys, promoted the running back position as devalued because they're not giving them the ball or they're not lasting as long. Well, injuries happen to everybody. But they don't devalue the quarterback position when he gets knocked out for a couple weeks.
No, they don't. The quarterback is on a pedestal in this league. There's no doubt about it. And it turned into a passing league, so you have that extra DB on the field, or you play back in a cover two. So teams got smart and said, "Hey, let's run the ball." they don't
fancy that.
Yeah. And you see it, Derrick Henry.
6 in the box, 7 in the box.
Yeah.
You should always run the ball.
You see,
8 in the box. You should throw the ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and the fans doesn't realize or know that, but people that play the game understand that. I mean, even as a running back, I come out of the huddle. Troy comes up. He sees 6 in the box. You bet your bottom dollar we're going to run that ball.
Right.
And if you see 8 in the box, okay. check.
Yeah.
we're gonna throw it.
We're going to make that happen pretty quickly here. The Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith, kind enough to join us here. You talked about the glory days of the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, we know right now, unfortunately, was not the case this season for them. A lot of moves and decisions to be made here. What is your confidence level in this Dallas Cowboys team now that you've got Brian Schottenheimer installed as the head coach, that they can make the changes necessary to get back to where you guys were? You knew we had to do it.
Yeah. You got another question?
So not great. Not great. How hard was it to watch this season for you, Emmitt?
It's still obviously. Do you?
It's painful, man.
Yeah.
It has been painful.
Do you converse with guys from your era at all about it?
You know what? Guys from my era, we talk a little bit about it, but when we're together, we just love each other.
Relive the good old days.
Yeah, we just love each other.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think, and you know this better than most, I think the thing that most players want, I don't care if you won Super Bowls, I don't care if you played at this level, but you want people to experience some of the greater things that you have experienced. And that's what you want for the current players. No matter who they are,
right?
You want them to just have a true experience. What they are getting, this current team is getting, they're getting all the pressures of unwanted pressures and unnecessary pressures, things that they shouldn't have to worry about or talk about or even be thinking about.
Yeah.
And when you're an organization like the Dallas Cowboys, I've always wondered, why do we follow? Why don't we lead?
Yeah.
We led people into new stadiums. We led people into new headquarters. We led organizations to do what Kroenke is doing and everyone else. The Commanders announced.
Yes.
You got other people that are starting to do things that we held leadership in. And we're not leading on the football field. We're not leading in operations. We're not leading in categories that I thought that we should be dominating in. And that's the brand that started when Jerry first bought the team and Jimmy came in. And that's the brand that was built in the early 90s and throughout the 90s. We done got away from the main thing.
Yeah.
And how much of that falls on Jerry at this point?
I think it falls on the leadership. I mean, I'm not there no longer. Troy's not there no longer.
No.
Jimmy's no longer there. It's only one thing that's there.
Yeah.
And it is a family affair. The family has done a great job in terms of the branding itself. The brand itself is synonymous with excellence.
Mm-hmm.
But that does not translate into football operations for some reason. And I think that's where the disconnect comes at. I think we're too busy trying to do what others are doing instead of being who we are, who we were created to be.
Yeah.
And that motto has to remain intact.
Yeah. Incredibly well said from someone who knows when that model's run right, what it can accomplish with the Dallas Cowboys. Emmitt, we know you are here on behalf of Tableau heading into Super Bowl 59. What can you tell us about this partnership?
Tableau is a great partnership. I mean, for people who are sick and tired of all these different apps that you have to download and pay for, and your subscription model goes up and up. Tableau is just the complete opposite. You buy this antenna, set it on the outside, connect it into your Wi-Fi with this device inside the house, and all the TVs in the house on one device.
Okay.
All the TVs in the house. And you got all the local channels, you got other channels, you got over 300 channels. And you get to watch all the sporting events on this thing. So for fantasy football lovers, this is what you need. Instead of flipping this channel, flipping that channel, you get everything right there.
All right, you've got me intrigued right now.
No fees, no subscription. You just pay one time and you get all of that.
Okay.
All right, I'm keeping this box, by the way, up here.
I brought one so y'all can fight over. I come to see y'all fight over. Who's going to win?
Listen,
there we go.
He's 35, I'm 62.
That's the point. You know, young kids get old enough to where they can take the dad.
Yeah.
I know where all the surgeries were. I know where all the surgeries were.
Just hit him in his hip.
I'll just go out. I'll just go over his house and watch Tableau.
I guess if I want to know how to hurt you, I can ask Emmitt because Lord knows he knew how to do that pretty well.
Just hit him in the hip. Just hit him in the hip.
The Hall of Famer, Emmitt Smith. Emmitt, we appreciate the time today, man. Thank you so much.
Guys. Y'all be blessed. Be
Always
blessed.
good to see you, man.
Absolutely. Great catching up here and thinking about the future. But let's get back to the present. Coming up next, from actual voodoo to Tay voodoo, some of the best Super Bowl props heading into Super Bowl 59 this weekend. Next on Gojo and Golic.
Super Week on DraftKings Network is brought to you by DoorDash. Get all your game day faves delivered.
I can't. Oh.
Those are the beautiful sights of the voodoo that is New Orleans. Our own Emerson Lazia running amok in the city, trying to get tarot cards read in here. Thank God you couldn't hear it, because it's just one man asking the spirits from beyond how many different places he can find a glizzy in New Orleans, which seems like an affront to God down here.
What's your guys' take on getting your fortune read, or do you want to do it? Do you want to know?
No, want no part of it.
Okay.
No, A, I don't know how much I buy it, and B, if I went, it would get in my head.
Yes.
Even if I didn't buy it, I would be like, well, wait a minute, so how much is it going to affect me? Am I gonna think about it?
The self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not for it.
Because I buy into all of that stuff a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I give everything a healthy degree of respect, even if I'm not going to let it dictate my life. What about you, Jesse?
I don't want to know, because I think I would do the self-fulfilling prophecy. I would hear something, and then I would make it happen, because I would be so fixated on it.
Sure.
I also, I don't want to know. What if it's something bad and you're just sitting around with
waiting.
anxiety and
Yeah.
you're like, I don't believe in that stuff, but then lying awake at night.
See, and I kind of believe in spirits and ghosts, as they say, So
Ghosts in air quote.
Ghosts.
Dried up cakes of deodorant under my arms for weeks at a time. Ghosts.
Ghosts.
So no ghosts and no voodoo for this Super Bowl here, but Tay Voodoo, something always on everyone's mind as we lead up to the big game here. You know what? I have been encouraged as someone that last year spent so much time on the front lines of Taylor Swift fandom and NFL broadcasting, of trying to merge these two communities at a time where so many people seemed averse to Taylor Swift being on the screen, being around these games. I feel like we've come a long way with that now, to where it's a more normalized part of the experience and talked about a lot less.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The people who ripped showing Taylor Swift there was ridiculous. I mean, it never took away from the game. It never interfered with the play of a game, and she's not the first or the last star that's going to be shown at a sporting event. And was she shown a lot? Yes, but she's the most popular entertainer on the planet. So I got really, really tired. It's football, just show the game. The guys dragging their knuckles back to the cave. I mean, it was ridiculous. But now it has become the norm.
Yeah, get used to it. I mean, sorry she's a huge celebrity, and it's news that she's at the game. And also the NFL loves it. Obviously, it's good for their product, so of course they're going to show her.
No, it has been good for business for them and can be good for business for you. So on the DraftKings Sportsbook, in addition to a number of the other Super Bowl specials that you have underneath the NFL's tab, if you go under the Super Bowl 59, the Super Bowl Lick specials, you can see the Swiftie specials, a series of prop bets surrounding Taylor Swift and her songs heading into this game here. And Dad, there's a number of them. Want to get your take on a few of these and what you think might actually work out.
Are these
in this
all
game.
names of her a song?
Yeah,
I know Shake It Off. Okay, but
yes, 15. So let's start with 15. Patrick Mahomes to have 15 or more rush yards and 215 or more pass yards in this game. This is the lowest odds you can get on any of the Taylor Swift prop bets at minus 175.
I think this one's easy, and I get why it's the lowest odds. Yeah.
I went and looked this up. In Patrick Mahomes' last 10 playoff games, he has had over 15 or more rushing yards 7 times, 215 or more passing yards 7 times, and he has done both 6 times in his last 10 games. So pretty good bet there for that.
And that's why it's minus 175.
What about this one, Dad? Is it over now? The Kansas City Chiefs to lead by 14 or more points at any point of the game, going at plus 225.
That could happen.
Wow.
I actually think that one is very unlikely to happen, given the way the Chiefs have won games here. We rarely see them get out. The one score, and just how competent this Philadelphia Eagles roster is. We saw the Washington Commanders were the one team in the Final Four that looked like they were at the biggest talent deficit of anyone involved. And so when the dam eventually broke for them, we weren't all that surprised. I just don't see it going that way for this Eagles team that has Vic Fangio, who's so great at adjusting after that counter punch, and has an offense that's basis is a run game.
I just love Philly's defense against Kansas City, so I don't see this happening.
What about this one, Dad? Shake it off. The Eagles to score first and the Chiefs to win. So obviously that would mean shake it off. The Eagles get a strong start. The Chiefs get a strong
I don't
finish.
agree with it because I'm picking the Eagles to win.
Okay.
Scoring first, I mean, hell, who gets the ball first? Right?
Yeah.
Could lead to who scores first. Or first 15 plays from both teams, sometimes the defenses come out in a better shape until you really settle into a game. But I think Philly's going to win, so I don't go with this.
I actually, as someone that is a Chiefs backer in this game, love this one because I could absolutely see the Philadelphia offense coming out with all that talent and might and getting on the board first. So, again, plus 300, a great way to start there. One of my least favorite Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah, I don't really like that song.
It's just doing a little bit too much sometimes. I understand and appreciate the message and all of that, but I digress.
What you guys said.
Dad, Saquon Barkley to have a 50-plus yard rushing touchdown as the longest rush. I'm stunned this is plus 350.
It doesn't say touchdown.
A 50-plus yard longest rush.
Plus 350. Yeah, I feel like those odds, I mean, snap that up.
He's known to break one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many rushes a game and 2 yards, 3 yards, 8 yards, 1 yard, and then boom, he breaks it. So I would throw because it's plus 350. I would definitely throw a shekel or two on it.
Yeah. That's sprinkle territory.
Sprinkle a little something on that.
We love sprinkles. Yep. This is another one interesting to me. 22. Any quarter to have 22 or more points on the score. Obviously, 22, very great song. Actually, probably the first Taylor Swift song I really got down to.
Oh, wow.
Back in college. Good times there. Plus 350, Dad. So between both of these teams, you're talking about 3+ touchdowns in a quarter.
I think, and wild to say, because last time it was 38-35, it obviously hit the over. I think it's going to be the under, so I would not take this bet.
All right. I actually tend to agree with that one, although I am never going to be an underbetter in a game like this. I root for points. I want it to be fun. I think both these offenses have the chance to do that. I'm with you there.
I wouldn't do the gold rush either.
Saquon Barkley to have 20 or more rush yards in each quarter?
Each quarter.
Yeah, no. We've seen him have slower halves, slower quarters, either in the first half or the second half.
Yeah.
He is really more about that boom or bust potential.
He is, exactly.
All right, this is the one I'm going to throw out there for people that I actually think is a spot, real sprinkle territory here. Great odds for something I think has a high likelihood. Run. Great song, obviously. Travis Kelce to have 5 or more rushing yards at plus 1,200. Dad, we know when the Chiefs get down in the red zone, what do they love? Good bit of trickery. A play drawn up on a cocktail napkin that someone's handed to Andy Reid. And how often have we seen Travis Kelce line up at Wildcat quarterback, something that he originally did at Cincinnati in college a little bit. And so all you need is one goal line run for 5 yards, maybe like a jet handoff or something in the midst of that too. I just feel like this one is so high upside for something that actually is a built-in part of the Chiefs' offense at times.
I don't like it.
Really?
Nope,
You don't
like
think
it.
Travis Kelce can get 5 rushing yards?
I don't think he'll have an attempt. I do not think he will have a rushing attempt.
I'm saying at plus 1,200, if you want to sprinkle there.
If you just want a little.
If they're on the 6-yard line and all of a sudden Travis is a Wildcat and they've got a bunch of guys in the backfield and he gets a free run to the end zone on a well-blocked play from this offensive line, you're there and you're betting $100 to win 1,200.
I'm not sprinkling. I think that's giving money away.
I think you are a fool. Let me look right into the camera. I think you're a fool if you don't sprinkle just a smidge on that prop bet right there.
I hope you're putting your money where your mouth is.
Oh, absolutely. That is my favorite prop bet of all the Taylor Swift prop bets, by far.
I like the look what you made me do. I like Travis Kelce having 4 receptions in each half.
In each half.
Each half, yes. I mean, he has got it with Mahomes now, especially in the postseason. The short passes over the middle, the safe passes. I would agree with that. Yes.
I just think that the Eagles.
That's plus 500.
I think the Eagles' defense is going to do a better job defending him than we saw Buffalo do in the last round. And really, we have seen in this whole postseason run where he's obviously been great, but I think Cooper DeJean, a lot of the strengths of this team here are going to focus their efforts on Travis Kelce. So I'm a little bit dubious on that one, but I love that journey for you here.
Give a little sprinkle.
We're all about sprinkles.
Yeah.
A lot of sprinkles here and there, huh?
Just a little bit.
So again, check out the DraftKings Sportsbook, again, under the Super Bowl 59 tab, the Swifty specials, all great ones that you can get going into this weekend here. Deb, we touched on this a little bit with Trey McBride before, but wanted to talk with you about this. As we heard, the NFLPA Executive Director Lloyd Howell pushed back against Roger Goodell's recent statement that safety data doesn't discourage expanding the regular season. He said, quote, frankly, we're not sure how he's reaching that conclusion based on the data that we've been given access to. He said in the NFLPA's annual news conference, no one wants to play in the 18th game. No one. 17 games is already for many guys too long. 17 games is also so lengthy that you're dealing with injuries going into next season. So there's a variety of issues that hang off the length of the season before any formal negotiation. Dad, do you agree with him?
Oh, I agree. It's a negotiating ploy because there's going to be an 18th game. They didn't want a 17th game. That happened in 2021. They didn't want a 17th game. But what you do is you fight it. It's what Trey McBride, current player, said. He said, I know there's going to be an 18th game, but I just hope we get something back for it. That's what it's about. You say, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. When you know in the back of your mind, all the back of the player's mind, you know what's going to happen. So you try and get something for it. You get what you can for it in negotiation. But it's going to happen. There's going to be 18 games.
Yeah. And so what would you want in return for that if you're the players right now?
Yeah. Listen, one of the things I have always talked about in negotiations for a CBA is extended health coverage from retirement. And it's just something that enough current players don't think about. They think about the now instead of the future. Right now, it's you get health insurance for 5 years after you're done playing, and then you're cut off. You're done. It'll never be lifetime, but it should be longer than 5 years. Your body just goes through too much if you're a vested player, that you have things happen to you down the road. Believe me, I know about that. That you should be covered for a number of years, and it's certainly an expense to the NFL. But that's always something I thought the current players, should fight for. But it's a post-playing career thing, so I don't think they put as much thought into it.
Well, we've seen them in the past, the players go after things like less practice time,
Right.
certainly shortening the off seasons in training camp,
Yes.
taking away two-a-days, all these things in real time, trying to take some of those hits off guys' bodies, trying to do things that may lead to lessening the load on them after they're done. But you're right, it's a perspective that's harder to sell in a league where the average career is 2.5 years.
So they only have 5 years. What would you want it to be?
Oh, at least 10.
Okay.
10 to 15 years. Again, you ask for lifetime,
Yeah.
but you're not going to get lifetime.
No.
But you just extend it as long as you possibly can. And you're right. I mean, they got only 14 padded practices during the regular season. They got the off-season program down a little bit as well for less hitting. So there's only so much you can do in a physical sport to take the physical contact out of it, and they've certainly gone down that road. I just wish the current players, again, we could as former players, we could talk to them till we're blue in the face, saying you got to think about after, you got to think about after. But they make so much more money now. They want to continue to make a lot of money now, and they think about what can we get now, what will affect us right now, and I just don't think enough of them. Even though us older guys are screaming at them, get more health care after.
It's also a tough thing to pry out of the owner's hands. This is
Yes,
it takes
is.
two to tango.
Yeah.
And again, we always point out for the NFLPA, bad math problem. You have got a constituency of about 2,000 plus players, all at various points in their career with various earnings, going up against a group of 31 owners, with the Green Bay Packers obviously, owned by the people, but going up against a group of 31 owners who have a longer lifetime of this and owning these teams, more money to play with here, and an easier time with solidarity than players who are all over the map in terms of what matters to them. And so it's an uphill battle, and it's why some of these smaller concessions, and again, the current CBA goes through 2030, so anything that would be changed in the middle would have to be voted and agreed upon by both owners and players to go in before that.
Yeah, and again, there's going to have 18 games, and as Trey said, maybe you get an extra bye week, which would certainly be something that could be used, right?
I mean, they're going to need it considering the amount of games abroad guys are. I mean, we're talking about playing in Australia, a 24-hour travel day for these guys in the midst of a season that puts more added strain on their bodies.
And that's not going to end.
No.
I mean, the league is going to search all overseas to play. Players, figure it out. you know.
And they better, because the message from the league is clear. No matter what they say, what they show you with these moves is they care a lot more about money than they will ever care about the health and safety of the players, because if they did, they wouldn't continue to add these hits to their body over the course of time and make that happen. Coming up next, we will shift gears and talk to a man who delivered a lot of hits coming out of the backfield. The bus rolling into Gojo and Golic next. You can always tell when you've got a great guest because you feel the group around the stage start to grow and swell here right now. Gojo and Golic, Mike Golic Jr., Mike Golic Sr., and Jesse Cofield here. Got a great guest joining us up on stage. On behalf of the CDC Foundation's Live to the Beat program here, Jerome Bettis, the Hall of Famer, former Steelers and Notre Dame great, kind enough to join us here. Jerome, good morning, man. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, guys.
Great to have you. And real quick, I'm going to quiz Jesse and Mike.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Jerome was the champion in Super Bowl XL. What number is that?
I've been calling this Super Bowl licks, because I don't understand the Roman numeral situation.
Yeah.
No, I have no idea. Gun to my head. Like, you can't.
XL, Super Bowl 40.
There you go.
Yes.
Nope.
There you go.
Exactly.
There's that Notre Dame education.
Exactly.
Well, we do have three domers up here.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Oh, my God.
You felt the set get smarter.
We started already. Okay.
We're here.
She's Boston College.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, you get it.
I get it. My SAT scores weren't as high as yours, okay?
Yeah.
Sister school. It's a little sister.
Yes, exactly. Little sister.
It started already.
You guys are doing great over there. Well, and listen, Jerome, for you, obviously Notre Dame, your alma mater, but now takes on that extra layer. Your son, an early enrollee in South Bend. How was that, dropping him off, getting this ready to see him off to his next step?
You know, that was the, it was a tough. It was tough because obviously he's our son, and we love the fact that he's going, but he's leaving us, right? He's leaving the nest, if you will. But we're so happy that he's going to Notre Dame. One, because his big sister is there. Our daughter is a sophomore at Notre Dame, so she's able to kind of make sure he doesn't miss home that much. So we're excited to have both of them there. But for him to start his journey to where he's starting it off, we're excited, and we're looking forward to all the things that he has coming up.
I'm just going to tell you because I got to enjoy it. I got to run out of the tunnel with the gold helmet on like you did. There is nothing. And then I got to watch Jake and Mike run out of the tunnel. There is nothing like watching your kid run out of the tunnel with the gold helmet on. It is going to hit you hard when you first see it. I get chills talking about it now. It is going to hit you hard when you see your kid with the gold helmet on running out of the tunnel.
Wow, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a great moment. Great moment.
What was that process like? Because we grew up swallowed the blue and gold. There was a little subtle influence, but when we started the recruiting process, it was laid out to us, hey, you're making this choice for you. You need to go where you want, not where we went. So what about the recruiting process for your son with Marcus Freeman in Notre Dame really sold you guys on that being the right spot for him?
It's interesting because I wanted to make sure that I didn't, impose Notre Dame on my son.
Sure, you guys were all like, please. They're asleep at night, and you're like, Notre Dame, South Bend.
I didn't.
I know the truth.
All I said was, go Irish.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I didn't say that, but
a little bit.
So what I wanted to do was to make sure that he understood that obviously he had to go to school there, right? He had to spend the 4 years or 3, whatever it was. You have to spend the time there. So you have to ultimately make the decision for you. But what I tried to do just throughout the years of going back and talking to young players, he was always with me. So he always listened to what I would tell these young recruits and what they should be thinking about, what the university is, what you should be looking for in a university, right? What is going to provide you? And so he was listening all of that time. So when it came down to him looking at schools, it came down to just a few schools. Duke, he was really interested in. And then when Elko left Duke, he went to Texas A&M. So Texas A&M became an interesting destination for him. But ultimately, I think he had his eyes set on Notre Dame, and not just for the football. It was more from the academic standpoint. So I was really impressed at that part, at the decision-making and how he came to his decision.
Well, we look forward to another Bettis at Notre Dame, a wide receiver.
A little different.
He's a wide receiver. So spinning forward now to the NFL, we just had Emmitt Smith on. And what do you think of the resurgence of the run? Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, obviously in this game, Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon, guys that changed teams, and the running attack really became important.
So what's happening is people are understanding that the running back, the position, it hasn't gone anywhere. The problem is you haven't had the talent, right, that now you're able to see the difference, right? Because a lot of teams, if you don't have a franchise running back, what do? Well, then you go, you got a, 2 platoon, you have 3 running backs that do what 1 running back can do until you find the guy, right? And so think about, they say, running back's not going in the first round. When you find one, they go in the first round. You saw Gibbs in the first round. You saw Robinson, Bijan in the first round. When you find those special players, you have to grab them. And I think that's what we're starting to see. You see a guy like, people are asking, how does Saquon Barkley go to the Eagles, right? How do you let this type of running back go? He's a franchise running back, and you don't find that many of them. And so you see Derrick Henry, and you say, how did he end up with the Ravens, right? He's a franchise running back. There's not many of those guys in the NFL. And that was the case when we were coming up, but there were just more colleges that were running a power offense that gave you the ability to see these guys in college. And so now you say, okay, I like him. But now these offenses have changed in college, so you don't see the same 220-pound 6'1" running back. He's now playing linebacker.
Sure.
And so that's the unfortunate part about what's happened. But when you find one, You circle him,
Yep.
and you say we got to have him because he's a game changer.
That is interesting. You're right. It's kind of pushed more talented players away from that position, and so it has become a little rarer. You mentioned finding the guy there, finding the guy at quarterback, something that every NFL team also trying to do. What do you want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers, the team that you won your Super Bowl with and were synonymous with, do at that position this next year?
They're kind of a victim of their own success, right? Because they haven't had the losing season. They haven't struggled to the point where now all of a sudden we're picking in the top 3 or 4. They're picking 17, 18, 22, 25. You're not going to find a franchise quarterback there. You're just not going to. You got to get super lucky to do that. So what they have to do now is make a decision. Are we going to now live in the free agency world at quarterback, or are we going to put some resources together, put some assets together, and go up and get the quarterback for the future? And I think that's what they have to decide, because if they don't, they're going to keep getting what they've been getting out of that position. I think they've got to commit and say, you know what, we're going up, we're going to get that quarterback, and, hey, we're committed. We're all in. And I think that's what they have to do. And you may bring one of these guys back for maybe a 2-year contract, a bridge, while your rookie is learning, right? And I think Russell Wilson would be a great guy that you learn from. You learn how to be a pro. You learn how to train. You learn how to get ready for all of that. I think that's the road you got to take if you want to have a 10, 15-year quarterback at the position.
That's the logical next step for them. Speaking of a pro, we got about a minute left here, Jerome, but want to hear about what you've got going on, the CDC Foundation's Live to the Beat.
Yeah, so, partner with Live to the Beat, and the whole idea is to just bring awareness and make people understand that your heart health is important, and you can make small changes that really can encourage that. I lost my father right after we won the Super Bowl, and he was 61 years old. And so now I look at my mortality. I'm 52 years old, and I say it's time to make a change, to make some little changes in my eating habits, in working out, doing small things that will affect my quality of life. And I think that's what the message we're trying to convey to everyone and share my story. Hopefully my story will inspire someone to say, you know what? I can change that. I can do that.
It's amazing little changes.
The little changes, what they add up to. And so we want to share all those stories, and people can go to livetothebeat.org/legacy to hear more stories.
That's great.
Incredibly impactful stuff. Jerome, can't thank you enough for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Super Week on DraftKings Network is brought to you by DoorDash. Get all your game day faves delivered.
Thank you, voice of Trey Wingo, as we are back here on Gojo and Golic to wrap up the show. This, that, and the third really taking a hiatus this week. We normally give you 3 quick stories. Instead, we give you some of the most famous people on planet Earth. And that is certainly the case right here as we are finishing off our show today with Adam Devine right now. Kind enough to join us on behalf of Circle here on set. Adam, how you doing, man?
That is right. I'm great. How's it going, guys?
Feeling hydrated? I saw you took a nice long chug.
The thing about, like I was telling you guys a second ago, for whatever reason, when I'm in New Orleans, I'm wildly dehydrated, and I can't put a finger on it.
Just can't figure out
why I'm dehydrated.
So weird.
That's why I've partnered with Circle Water.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, look at him.
No, this water looks really crisp.
It really does.
It really looks crisp.
What's the Circle
We're
difference,
all
Adam?
dehydrated.
Dude, it's actually incredible. There's these little pods, and you put it in the bottle here, and then you could crank up the flavor. So I'm drinking Blue Raz right now, or you could.
That's flavor.
Some flavors, and they've got like 100 different types of flavors, and they have electrolytes and also caffeine to give you a little boost.
A little something. Do you get to name any of the flavors? Because I was looking online, and the flavors are amazing. They're like, one of them was like Raging River or something. I was like, wow, these names are impressive.
You bring up a great point, and I haven't been able to name my own flavor, and I'm looking at the two owners and creators right now.
First of all, how dare you?
Disappointed. So, we'll have to carve that out in the deal.
And they put this up here for show, but I'm taking it.
Yeah, that's yours now.
It's now mine.
I bet they're willing to part with that one.
My germs.
And it's so, for me anyway, listen, I've been an athlete all my life. Talking to athletes is one thing, but talking to guys like you in the entertainment world is I could see you.
Okay.
Wow.
Oops, sorry about it.
Grandpa Chic may be the style, but the muscle
that just snuck out, huh?
Yeah, oops.
Wow.
Oopsies.
Boy.
So you can see Circle and Adam in a Super Bowl commercial.
That's right.
This year.
Yes. I'm not just here just walking around with water bottles. I am in a Super Bowl commercial.
I am a very important person.
So it's more of a big deal. But yeah, we did a whole spot. It's pretty awesome. Peter Berg, the big director, he directed it. It's tight.
This your first Super Bowl commercial?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
I know, it's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
You've made it.
I finally have.
I would say, where does that register on the scale of career accomplishments as someone that has done as many things as you have?
I feel to my uncles, it is the most important thing I've ever done.
Okay, interesting.
Because they only watch sports, so the fact that they're going to be able to see me while watching the Super Bowl means the world to them. I'm like, what about that giant movie I was just in? And they're like, does it involve singing? And I'm like, well, okay, maybe it does.
They didn't see it. Yeah,
they didn't see it. Yeah.
I just want to dance, Dad.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just a song and dance man.
Yeah.
And a great song and dance man you are. So
I honestly thought Pitch Perfect was a baseball movie. I swear to God, I thought
that was real.
Fever Pitch. You were like, it's like Fever Pitch, but
I thought it was.
So you walked into the audition and you're just like, oh God, what do I do?
Yeah, well, I saw these guys singing. I'm like, good luck singing in the baseball movie. That's not going to get you far, you bitch.
Yeah. So if you thought that was the case for that, what did you think The Righteous Gemstones was about? When you thought, did you think this was going to be like some Diamond Thief movie?
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like we're miners. Yeah, we're in there just with an axe, just hitting rocks.
So that's why you were hitting the gym so hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I was explained what Righteous Gemstones was properly.
All right, good.
I was going to say, do we need to get someone who can like explain the scripts to you, or you have that now?
You would think I would just read them, but no, I just need a guy to sit me down, explain the scripts.
So Righteous Gemstones, 4th and final season, debuts March 9th here. How are we feeling about that, the ending of something that's been such a massive success?
You know, it's bittersweet, man, because it's so fun. Danny McBride is on my Mount Rushmore of comedy heroes. So I loved being a part of it, and it's going to suck to not see those guys all the time, but, you know, leave them wanting more.
It is a phenomenal show, and I always wonder in comedic shows, when my wife are watching and we're laughing, we always say, how fun is it to make? How are they cracking up during the takes, And so behind the scenes, I mean, do you just lose it, or is it just all professional?
You try not to, because then it just ruins.
Right.
If someone says something off the cuff and it's super funny and you just laugh through it, they're like, "You piece of shit." When that take for me, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
But for the most part, we try to. But sometimes you just can't help it,
Well, I was going to say, especially with the guys you have on the set.
Edie Patterson, obviously John Goodman, Dan McBride. We got a crew.
What was it like, having a guy? We always talk about, athletes want to be entertainers, athletes want to be singers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like getting a guy like Sturgill Simpson on set who comes over with the music background and all of a sudden is trying your guys' game?
Sturgill is so damn cool, man. He really is. He's like he was born to do what he does, and he kind of talks like this. And I'm like, there's not in a million years could I do what you do, and somehow you can easily do what I do. So I think you're just way more talented.
But to Mike's point, athletes, we all wanted to be entertainers, and entertainers wanted to be athletes. Were you played sports growing up, or?
I did, yeah. I was a baseball player. I played a lot of baseball. You look at me and you're like, he's a mascot. Yeah.
Were you ever a mascot?
No, that's not fair. You could also get water for the team.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true.
Don't sell yourself short.
No, I was hit by this is getting real, but I'm as real as the streets.
Wow.
I was hit by a cement truck when I was 11, so I couldn't walk from. Are you
What?
laughing?
Wait, did you just laugh?
Are you laughing at my pain?
I'm sorry.
Well, we don't know if
Are
it's
you
the
laughing
truth
at
or
my
not.
pain?
It's obviously hilarious.
Yeah.
Because he's alive.
I picked one of the funniest trucks to get hit by.
For sure.
So I couldn't walk for 2 years. I couldn't walk from 6th grade through 8th grade.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wait,
so that's like prime. You're
Yeah.
starting to play sports in a real way. And then, by 9th grade, I was like, and I'm back. And everyone's like, no, you're not.
Did that affect your height? Was that like?
I should have been 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a lawsuit
That's
waiting to happen.
Yeah, because right now I'm just built like a thumb.
Right.
Yeah.
But you could have
Yeah,
been.
jacked thumb. Like,
yeah.
the same size all the way, top to bottom.
So are you like a cement truck nepo baby? Like you sued for like?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
we did sue, and we got such a hilariously small amount of money.
Why couldn't it have been an Amazon truck?
Honestly, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
my
true.
God. All right, so
do you have a favorite in this game?
Yeah, Chiefs, man. Chiefs. My family, everyone lives in Kansas City, so over the past 20 years, we've become Chiefs fans. And I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, so that was the closest team growing up. So yeah, Chiefs.
Have you Have you thought about trying to become like the next super fan, or once Taylor Swift came into this, were you just like, I'm gonna?
She
fade
might have
back
edged
on
me
this?
out.
Okay.
Yeah, she might be slight and we're neck and neck as far as
Close.
fame goes, but
Right.
I think she might just have me right now.
Yeah.
All right, that's a fair point. Well, I appreciate the honor of you just giving space for that. Very pro woman on
It was
this set.
it was kind of me. Yeah.
Yeah.
You give. and
Everyone
you
looked
give.
at me.
Yeah.
They're like, pro woman.
Pro woman,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's
Right,
Yeah, no,
yeah.
definitely. He's an ally,
He's a
right?
Be less
feminist,
pro
I can
woman
tell.
after you laughed at my pain just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't that?
Working for the cause, ladies.
I wasn't sure if it was a joke or not, but I kept it to myself.
Yeah.
She didn't.
No.
I mean,
Wow.
he's
That's all right.
not like visibly maimed, so
No.
other than
That
the
is
height
true.
thing.
I don't know
No,
if
and I'm a
anyone's-
freak athlete, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Look at that. Look at that.
Better than I can do.
Look at that.
Yeah.
You see that dynamic? That's the pliability Tom Brady spent years
That's
talking
exactly
about.
right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Incredible.
right.
Well, no one has turned getting hit by a cement truck into a better career turnaround
telling
than you,
you.
good sir.
Out of the
Amazing.
millions of people that have been hit by cement trucks, I feel like I'm leading the pack.
You really
know?
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always
A
good to
success
lead in
story.
some category.
Yeah, in some
Yeah.
category, in that very niche. I honestly think there's probably 4 of us out there.
I'm just imagining the thing, you know what I mean? The thing
Yeah.
that turns, yeah.
Yeah,
Heavy.
It haunts me.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Jesse really leaning into the PTSD of this right now here. Adam, we can't thank you enough for coming up here, hydrating my father,
Yeah,
clearly. We're
good.
very excited to see
I'm
this
so
commercial.
impressed with it. I really am.
Pretty
The
good,
flavor
huh?
really is.
Really good. Yeah.
Again, this spot will be in the first quarter of the big game
That's
coming
right.
up, so you can get it early right now. Maybe this game gets out of hand. We have no idea, so you're getting right into the prime real
That's
estate.
exactly, yeah. You want to right in the first quarter where everyone's still tuned in.
yeah.
You haven't done things to dehydrate dehydrate yourself too much. So you're prepared.
You're prepared.
That's
Prepare for
awesome.
that. Prepare for the Righteous Gemstones on Max.
Yes.
The 4th and final season debuts March 9th. We will finish off our week here tomorrow. Thank you to Adam and all of our great
Thanks,
guests.
guys.
We'll catch up with you guys and send you off into the Super Bowl tomorrow.